On today's video, we're going to talk about IMCA's rules. For 2026, the rules have changed, not a lot, but a little. And IMCA is directing rules towards some of the problems that they feel like they have. Whether you like it or not, the rules are here to stay for 2026. More on that when we get back. On this video, we're going to talk about a couple of things, but we're going to start with the new rules of IMCA. But before we do, like, share, and comment on our videos, especially this one. Feel free to comment whether you're in favor of or against the rules. Feel free to comment. I want to hear your opinions. Let's try to get our subscriber rates up so we can reach more people. All right, let's get to work. I'm not a big fan of what I'm getting ready to do, but there's no way I can memorize this word for word, so I am going to read it. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see it. The rules that have changed in 2026 will be highlighted in red, and you can read along. Under rear suspension, which I didn't really think this was a change, but I haven't really gone back and looked at last year's rules to see what changed on this statement. But the statement is solid safety chain securely mounted from any clearly mounted from the upper frame rail directly to top of axle tube required. Cannot be mounted to any floating device. Must have slack during inspection. So it has to be mounted solid. There has to be a safety chain there. When they do the new droop rule, the chain must be tight. So a left rear chain is not a bad deal. It's not a bad deal at all. They're introducing it in the name of safety. This is going to allow for consistency in the rear suspension. And I'm going to throw it out right now. I mean, I think they could have possibly addressed some of this a bit different, but they are addressing what I kind of see as an issue that we have in IMCA racing and in racing in general, okay? And allowing the left rear to get out of hand is just not going to be good. At some point, it's going to have to be governed, and you can do it now, you can do it later. And in this case, IMCA allowed it to go on for a while, and they allowed it to go on for the entire season of 25. They didn't shut you down mid-season on what you were doing. So people that invested time and money into suspension parts to try this setup was allowed to do it for the remainder of the season, which is very generous. So also remember that when you're commenting, and you don't need to comment how dumb IMCA is, because a lot of the stuff they do actually falls in your favor. Even though you feel that it's not, the big picture, it actually falls in your favor. And yes, I do kind of think as a parts manufacturer and a guy that has sold over 4,000, 5,000 brake floaters, that we could have maybe had a bar angle location rule and a droop rule, would have solved it. Still could have run the brake floater, but IMCA says no brake floaters. So droop rule. Dynamic deck height, droop. In post-race inspection, the car will be jacked up under the left rear trailing arm mount forward of the axle until a 40 thousandths thick piece of sheet metal can be slid under the left rear tire. The left rear deck height cannot be higher than 48 inches. Measured at 6 inches inboard of left deck edge. Chain must be solidly mounted to upper frame rail on axle tube at 12 o'clock. So mounted at the top of the axle tube and between the bell of the rear end and the bird cage during inspection. So chain's got to be straight up. It's got to be somewhere between the bird cage and the bell. That's the dynamic droop rule. Okay, that's probably going to be lower than what a lot of cars were. And it kind of goes along with some of the things I've said. As we tested that hike, the extended hike, not extended load, as we tested extended hike, stage 1 produced all of the speed. Not most of it, not speed, all of the speed was produced in stage 1 of that setup. So taking that setup all the way to the end literally just made the cars more difficult to drive, which actually probably slowed us down a little bit in our effort to build speed. So in following through, in the brake section, and this will be the end of the rules, but in the brake section it says rear caliper brackets must be welded or bolted solid to the rear axle. So the 2026 rules are out for IMCA. They will be posted in a link below, either in the comments, the description area. They will be on our team website for you guys that are team members to go and view. And of course, they're on IMCA's homepage. You can go there and download and print the rules and keep a copy for yourself. But that's the rules. No brake floaters. We have a droop rule, so we are going to have to change. We did a few cars last year with right rear brake floater, and it was good. It was good. It made the car very drivable, so it was good for the car. We were planning on proceeding with that this year and expanding on it to not only race it, but have more people race it and to learn how that works the best. So there has been some stuff with the under-mounted brake floater and all that, which was more of a gimmick than a performance product. And I know there's people that argue with that, but you know, when you understand what you need to do with a race car to make it very raceable, then you understand also that there's a point in which, you know, I kind of call it a final point. Okay, we have not reached the final point of racing. Some series have reached that final point, and to keep things interesting, they mix the rules up every so often. Okay, in dirt racing, and we'll say specifically IMCA if you like, that final point it's not the direction in which a general racer heads. Okay, so we like to explore our options. We like to go down that rabbit hole. So that's what we do. And honestly, it's kind of fun. A lot of guys enjoy doing that, even if it's maybe not the best. Some just enjoy doing it for the art of doing it. And some have turned it into a financial career option to manipulate people into buying stuff. Okay, that I'm kind of opposed to. When you complain about the high cost of racing, it's not the rule changes. It's the people that are taking advantage of us, trying to sell us a new crutch instead of kicking the crutches out and teaching us how to run. Stand on our own 2 feet without the crutches, we'll be better racers. So we are going to combine this video with a few other topics or questions that have been asked that I thought may be better to do in a video than in a comment. And one of them was left rear shock location. In the front, in the rear, spring and shock in the rear. So these are kind of our options, and I'll go over your options. Probably the most stable setup is spring behind on a slider, 75/40, shock in front, with a decent amount of compression in it. 9 times out of 10, that shock has gas in it. It is fully gassed, maybe 250 to 300 pounds. Okay, as a person that runs a stiff left rear, you need to really understand what you got and how much gas it takes to operate what you got. And we'll do a video on that, and it will not be well perceived, and I don't know why. People really don't like shock videos, but the left rear shock and maybe the right front shock, you guys really need to learn and understand things about those two corners, because that's where you're spending a lot of your money. And you need to know what to ask for, you need to know what to look for, and you need to know what to expect. And I think that's what we'll try to teach you in those videos. So here again, if you got ideas or comments about some of that type of stuff, please comment and we'll cover it. So the question is where should I be with that shock? And for overall, I'm trying to hold the car up. Extended load, left rear against the chain with a shock that runs, you know, somewhere between 400 and 550 pounds at 10 inches. And that's going to require upwards of 300 pounds or maybe a little more of gas to make that shock fully function. Do shocks run that much gas? No, a lot of shocks don't. There's ways to get around it, like a base valve. Now, there's ways to get around it that are not good for the car when you race. And I've been communicating with the guy about that. He's struggling on his left rear, and it's literally in the shock. And poor valving from his builder. It's not the valving, it's the gas. I mean, they're just not doing things right. But shock, say on top of the axle, is different. I mean, it's different. It does something different to the car. We'll cover that later. But it's a thing, and it's a little different. I don't really think it's as good as holding the car up as extended load is, but it's a thing. Shock and spring behind. Shock and spring behind puts the most amount of drive in a car. Now, we can get there in other ways, but that adds drive. Shock in front takes drive away from the car. Shock and spring behind adds drive to the car. So a lot of times you see, oh, this is what you need to do in the slick. Okay, well, I don't know. Do we need to make the car tighter in the slick? You need to evaluate your car in the slick, because I'm going to say a lot of times you're tight in the slick and you're tightening it up when it gets slick. So start documenting that. If you're a team member, use them setup sheets. That's what they're there for. Documentation, document, document, document. Please document. Okay, you're doing it for you. You're doing it for your future you. Okay, not just your current you, your future you, you're doing it for. So base valve, left rear shock is becoming very popular. Why? Why is it becoming so popular? Is the lack of rod force on the left rear good for the car? Actually, if I put a base valve shock in front on the bird cage, it produces more drive than a gas shock in front. Okay, but does it help in the overall holding the car up performance? Not so much. That's something you need to take in consideration. What's more important? Drive that I can actually put in a car in other ways, or holding the car up. Okay, right now holding the car up is the answer. The better we hold the car in posture, and brake floaters, trail braking, in my opinion, that was all being done wrong. That's not how you hold the car up on the left rear. So you have to learn how to hold the car up on the left rear. If you're a team member, you're going to learn that lesson this year. Now, here's the deal. You're going to have the availability to learn that lesson. If you don't do the documentation, you are probably not going to be available to learn the lesson. So if you don't spend time on the website, you don't spend time in the documentation, you guys are missing out. So team members, get on it this year. People that are not team members, look into being a team member. I'll put a link below for the team page also. So check it out. See what we have to offer there, because it is helping a lot of people. And I am so proud of you guys that are doing the things you need to do to be successful racers. So keep it up. Left rear shock, if I had a choice, I'd be shock in front, spring behind, extended load spring, 125, 225 pounds of extended load, 4 inches of chain, 4.5, 4 inches of chain hike. That's where I'd be, okay? That would cover you 99% of the time. You can do a lot of things on them numbers in a lot of cars. In IMCA, USRA, UMP, Crate Racing USA, a little different deal because you got that old spring on top. And it doesn't offer, it's better in a 16-inch spring. That 13-inch IMCA Northern Sport Mod deal, I personally just stay away from the preload. I just run a spring and I just take care of the car. So the droop rule, it's here. The no brake floater rule, it's here. We're gonna have to adapt our driving styles. Doesn't have to become a difficult thing. If you don't understand it, become a team member and then get on board, and I'll clearly explain to you how to adapt in 2026 to no brake floater. And not only adapt, but be successful at doing it. Very successful. So that's the rules. That's what we're at. It's going to be a fun year for us, so let's get ready. There's no reason to complain because that ain't going to change it. So it's just going to increase the stress level by complaining, so let it go. Have fun, read the rules. I'll put a link below. If you're not a team member, study that, become a team member, study our website. Okay, for the first of the year, I will put a new link into the website for a 75-page book that I wrote this summer. So be excited for that because it's going to cover all of the points of racing, step by step. So check it out. The link's on our homepage. It's bsbgofast.com. As always, go fast, go left, God bless you, and we'll see you the next time.